would like to read this statement. The Chief Constable, Simon Byrne, has today tendered his resignation to the Northern Ireland Policing Board with immediate effect. I have informed the Board of the resignation at a special meeting this afternoon. I would like to record my thanks and appreciation to Simon for his work over the course of the last 4 years as Chief Constable. He is undoubtedly a dedicated police officer with a deep respect for the profession of policing. He was very aware of and greatly appreciated the often difficult job that officers and staff across the organisation do on behalf of the community. This may not always have been apparent to onlookers, but it was very much his modus operandi, as was his desire to improve policing for the community through modernisation and investment in local policing arrangements. His tenure was subjected to intense scrutiny, and I am sure that the last few weeks in particular have been incredibly difficult for him, personally and professionally. The Board will now consider the leadership arrangements going forward. The Chief Constable has asked me to release the following statement on his behalf. The last few days have been very difficult for all concerned. Regardless of the rights and wrongs, it is now time for someone new to lead this proud and resolute organisation. Can I thank those who have shown me trust, advice and friendship, and of course thank you to the brave men and women of the Police Service of Northern Ireland. Thank you.
How can public confidence in the Police Service of Northern Ireland now be rebuilt, do you think?
We have officers and staff who have been enduring, faithful, loyal, hard-working. We should never forget that. And they are there for our community. They've been here for the long term, short term, and have been through many, many difficulties. As a board, we have a corporate responsibility to make sure there is accountability and oversight. We have scrutiny and we have a responsibility to do that.
Without an executive, how do you appoint someone to replace Simon Byrne at this time?
There are arrangements in place that we're considering at the moment, working with the different organisations on this issue. We will be in touch.
Someone from within the senior management team?
We're looking at the arrangements at the minute. We're going back into the meeting to have a look at what that could look like. Thank you.
Mr. Byrne, because he's not here, but what do you think persuaded him over the weekend? Because just on Thursday he was telling us and you at the board he would not be resigning and he was considering a legal plan.
I think the outcome of Thursday was very significant, and after the board meeting, after I think he spoke to the media, the Federation came out with a statement which was quite significant. That followed then by NIPSA and later then the Superintendents Association. So his position, I think, would have been very, very difficult after that.
So you're saying it was the loss of the confidence of his rank and file that kind of made him think and rethink over the weekend about his future? Yeah.
The Chief Constable, I think, always had the good and the welfare of his force at the top and the forefront of his mind, and I'm sure that had quite a significant impact on his decision.
David Blevins from Sky News. The Chief Constable said he accepted the court ruling, and then last Thursday said he was considering appealing it. Do you regard this resignation as him having gone back to the position of him accepting the court ruling of last week?
I think it's been a difficult time for the Chief Constable and the team. It's a personal decision that he made. The appeal is for the PSNI and how they deal with that.
Dirty, how do you expect to attract a credible candidate now, given the kind of debacle there has been around this whole affair and the resignation of this current Chief Constable and the very political atmosphere in which policing still happens in Northern Ireland?
I think the last part of what you said there is key. We have a very, very difficult situation, societal-wise and politically, in a very, very difficult place to police. I think police forces all over the UK and Ireland have challenges. We have more than an awful lot of other services in terms of border, where we have resources, where financial packages we have, there's security issues, all of those areas. So it's not going to be easy for anybody, but there are people out there who are dedicated to policing across different organisations, internally and externally, and would envisage looking at that.
Amanda Ferguson from Reuters. Given that politicians in Northern Ireland, some of them have been calling for the resignation of the Deputy Chief Constable, and also the fact that one of the Assistant Chief Constable is in charge of the data breach investigation, could we be looking at a wipeout of the senior team of the PSNI?
I mean, I think it's fair to say that request had come from the Ulster Unionist Party, and I mean it's up to that party how it wants to affect. I don't see the demise of the senior executive team. There isn't one that we prepared earlier. They have a very significant role day in, day out, and that work must continue. The volume of work which our police officers deal with is immense. I mean, there's 500,000 one-on-one calls every year to 110,000 999 calls. There's 90 domestic violence calls per day. And that work goes on, tending to road traffic collisions, dealing with serious mental health issues and so on. So there's a very strong core of work which goes on day by day, and which I think is the core of the work of the service.
If the Chief Constable has resigned with immediate effect, who is in charge of the PSNI right now?
We're looking at the board are looking at it at the minute in terms of we're going back into the room to this is new and breaking news, so you can respect, I suppose, the board have a duty to have a look at this in the round, and we will be doing that.
Do you expect that to be decided by this evening in short order? Or
We will take the time to discuss that in full.
The problems that existed in terms of the data breaches, the allegations of political interference, the PSNI, they all still exist regardless of whether the Chief Constable is in post or not. What does the board intend to do about this? Because obviously the credibility of the board was also called into question in terms of their oversight of the PSNI.
Well, we are a corporate body with responsibility for oversight of policing, and in terms of the arrangements, it has been one of the only functioning organisations during these times, the last 18 months, with political and independent members on board. So we do have history in terms of being able to deal with issues. Societal and political changes are there, and they're an ever-moving feast. I think in terms of the board, in terms of the skills around the table, there is an ability to deal with the issues.
Sorry, given that there's alleged political pressure that's actually brought him down, will the board now look at other decisions that may have come under political pressure?
I mean, there have been no examples that have been brought to our attention, and I think there's still a question as to whether, in fact, political pressure had an issue or was an issue. Certainly, a decision was taken by PSNI, by the Deputy Chief Constable, as it is his responsibility to do so. We will wait, and if there are issues, then we will deal with them.
Can I ask you both to sum up this entire saga, because you could, there's hundreds of packages you could choose, messy, disaster, PR disaster. How do you recover from this, and how do you ensure that people in Northern Ireland have confidence in the PSNI again?
Well, it goes without saying that policing here operates in a very difficult environment, and we ask a lot of all the officers and staff across the organisation. The board is very clear. We expect the highest standard of professionalism and integrity from all our police officers, in line with the Code of Ethics. And the Police Service of Northern Ireland has taken a very strong view, or a very strong position, which the board supports, of ensuring that we can account on the highest standards of behaviour within the police service. I'd also say that we're currently dealing with a very difficult funding situation. The new decade, new agreement talked about 7,500 officers. Under current funding arrangements, we are down probably to about 6.5 by the end of this financial year. So we are asking a great deal of our police service, and now more than ever, it requires the full support of the political and civic society. Policing, I think, has moved on significantly in the last 25 years. Unfortunately, society hasn't moved on in the same way, so we have problems now which I suspect, whatever the PSNI has been established, we didn't imagine would still be with us.
Given the board recently extended Simon Byrne's contract and he's under contract about 2027, is he entitled to any severance as a result of this resignation of his cost? Please support any money.
The Chief Constable is leaving with immediate effect, and there's contractual agreements underway, and that is a personnel issue at this stage.
Can you confirm or deny reports that the Chief Constable informed the board last week that the pressure referred to in the court ruling last week came from the then Deputy First Minister, now First Minister designate Michelle O'Neill?
We can't move in that space at the minute. I'm not going to answer that.
Okay, thank you everybody. Just probably back into the meeting. I think that's most of the questions covered there. Happy enough. Apologies for the banging. Thank you.
Thank you.
So the breaking news this hour, Simon Byrne has resigned as the Chief Constable of the Police Service of Northern Ireland. Deirdre Toner, the chair of the Northern Ireland Policing Board there, and Edgar Jardine, who is the vice chairperson, thanked him for his work over the last 4 years. They also read a statement from Simon Byrne where he thanked those who have shown him advice and trust over the years. He also thanked the brave officers in Northern Ireland. It comes, of course, after that huge data breach where 10,000 officers and staff members' names were inadvertently released after a Freedom of Information request and got into the hands of dissident Republicans, causing a huge security concerns. He also faced additional pressure after a court last week found he had unlawfully disciplined 2 junior officers. We'll get the thoughts of our senior Northern Ireland correspondent David Blevins soon.